Not many Corellians have lived a dangerous life as Dengar, swoop bike racer, bounty hunter, assassin. He held a grudge against Han Solo, saved Boba Fett from the Sarlacc pit, and even met a girl and got married. Welcome to the life of Dengar, Star Wars' unluckiest bounty hunter. Born on the core world of Corellia, when he was a youngster, he worked alongside his father on tuning and repairing swoop bikes. This gave the young Corellian a love for swoops, and he began racing them at this time as well. He raced for the Ferengi team, gaining success and even minor fame. By the time he was near his adolescent years, he was considered a cult hero on Corellia and was getting endorsements and higher winnings. Around 21 years prior to the Battle of Yavin, Dengar had taken up bounty hunting with a respectable record. He briefly joined up with fellow bounty hunters, including a young Boba Fett and the Trandoshan bounty hunter Bosk, on a job to escort a hover train on the planet Quartzite to the leader of the Belugan people. The job went sideways, at least partially for Dengar, as he was thrown from the train. He did get his cut of the earnings, though, but he no longer worked with Boba's group. Later on, during the Clone Wars, the Corellian was employed as protection for the Hutts on their world of Nal Hutta. When Maul and his allies came to the festering world to bring the Hutts into his criminal empire, the Hutts refused, and Dengar and the other bounty hunters fought them, but were overwhelmed and they fled. At some point between the Clone Wars and his job of hunting down Han Solo for the Empire that we see in Empire Strikes Back, Dengar began racing on the private circuit with untold dangers and greater challenges. There was a young and up-and-comer racer Dengar was constantly getting compared to. His name was Han Solo. Wanting to prove he could beat Solo, he challenged the future rebellion general to a race through the crystal swamps of Agrilat on Corellia, winner take all. He'd been holding his own when on the final stretch Solo brought his bike down in front of Dengar's, leading to Dengar's face being burnt in the exhaust, and the repulsor fins of both bikes were locked, causing Dengar to crash, where he was impaled by one of the crystal stems in his brain. Only the Imperial doctors could save his life. He was banned from the pro circuit, and his racing friends shunned him. To add insult to injury, part of the Agrilat Swamp racing circuit was named Dengar's End. All because of that race, his life, as he knew it, was over. Solo became a hated foe, giving Dengar the drive to get his revenge on his fellow Corellian. There were some negatives to having the Imperials save him, though. They made him part machine through experimentation. His prefrontal cortex, along with other portions of his brain that dealt with empathy, were entirely replaced with technology, making him a ruthless killer. They also amplified such emotions as rage, but oddly, hope and loneliness to help fulfill his assassination tasks. They gave him false hope that if he was essentially a good boy and did all his chores, he would be returned to normal. Obviously, they had no intentions of making him more normal. He also had enhanced eyes and ears alongside a drug-induced flawless memory, with a nasty side effect being hallucinations. They removed his hypothalamus gland, and in its place was a computer to control all his new systems. Briefly, the newly minted cyborg fought in the gladiator pits on the mid-rim planet of Luvria for the entertainment of the nobility there. Then his assassin days began for the Empire. He completed mission after mission with ruthless efficiency until he was tasked with killing the holy children of Asrat, who had denounced Emperor Palpatine and declared their desire to secede from the Empire. Dengar chose to desert the Empire rather than kill children. He couldn't feel the difference between good and evil anymore, but he could still recognize the disparity between the two. A large bounty was posted on Dengar for his desertion. He returned to bounty hunting donning his brown armor, which was an amalgamation of snowtrooper armor, sand trooper armor, and his head wrappings, which covered his cybernetics and hid his scar tissue. Dengar boasted quite an array of weaponry, like his beloved Valken 38 blaster rifle, a sniper rifle, a single DL-21 blaster pistol, a DLT-19 heavy blaster rifle, concussion grenades, and a vibroblade. He flew in the heavily modified Jumpmaster 5000 scout ship he dubbed the Punishing One. Dengar sought a bounty on Han Solo, so he came into the service of Tatooine-based Jabba the Hutt. The Corellian bounty hunter encountered Solo not once or twice, but thrice during the Galactic Civil War. The first was prior to the Battle of Yavin, while on a search for the Yavin Basilica, then a couple of times about a year before the Battle of Hoth, once on the desert world of Tatooine when Solo attempted to reunite Jabba's nephew Grubba with his uncle, and next, while he was working with other bounty hunters like Boba Fett, Bossk, and others in a showdown with not only Solo, but Luke Skywalker and a pirate, Raskar, on Ord Mantell. But Solo evaded Dengar every time. During this time, Solo wasn't the only target Dengar went after. He took bounties on officers of COMPNOR, which is the Commission for the Preservation of the New Order. He believed COMPNOR was the most evil branch of the Empire. One such target was General Cynic Kritkeen. On the planet Aruza, the Corellian bounty hunter was paid a small bounty by the Aruzans to kill Kritkeen, which he did. He also saved an Aruzan woman called Manaroo. Remember that name, as she's important to the story later. Post the Battle of Talos, he was involved in capturing the Empire's most wanted, which were high-ranking rebel leaders. He scored big on Tatooine and went to Naboo to hand over the bounty. He was briefly captured by rebel agents who wanted his bounty he had already handed over. He told them so, and they left him with some officials, but he went free at some point, as not long after, he had been seen on Nal Hutta seeking work from the Hutts. On Tula, Dengar was approached by an unknown woman to join the rebellion, as she had noticed his targeting of Imperial officials. He was taken to a rebel base. He accepted a posting on the new base for the rebels on Snowy Hoth. But Dengar didn't join the rebels for the cause. He joined because he knew sooner or later he'd run into Han Solo. But Dengar has terrible luck, as when he arrived in the Hoth system, it was during the rebellion's retreat. The Punishing One was hit with an ion cannon, and he drifted until the Executor tractored him in. They imprisoned him upon learning of his identity. Darth Vader offered him a reprieve if he would hunt down the Millennium Falcon. During his search of the asteroid belt near Hoth, his ship's engines were damaged by a bomb left by Boba Fett. An unhappy Dengar watched as the Millennium Falcon sped away, followed closely by Slave One. He was able to get his engines in working order. He then followed the trail to Cloud City, where his awful luck continued, as he watched Slave One leave with Carbonite Han Solo. However, Dengar did do some good when he saved a few dancers, including Manaroo, from the clutches of the Empire on Bespin. Manaroo accompanied the Corellian as he left Bespin. Pitying Dengar's near-emotionless state, she attempted to share her feelings with him via her Atani, a custom of her people, the Aruzan, which two people share emotions cybernetically. He felt what it was to be human again. This connection helped Dengar as he aided the rebellion with the evacuation of the Aruzans from their world. He was even able to free Manaroo's parents. Later, a contract found Dengar teaming up with rival bounty hunters Forlom, Zuckuss, IG-88, and Bossk to steal a sacred gem in a temple in the Red Nebula for Domina Tag. After that job, he found himself imprisoned, having failed to find Fen Shiza. The disfigured Corellian promised Princess Leia information on Han Solo if she helped him, so she agreed to free him, but he betrayed her, selling her out to the Empire. Dengar's bad luck returned as he was once again imprisoned and forced to reveal what he knew of Han Solo's whereabouts to Leia and Fen Shiza. He did manage to get out of that scrap to go to Blimp 3 to compete for the bounty of Lando Calrissian, which Quafug the Hutt was running, and Dengar failed that. Eventually, he and his lady friend Manaroo arrived at what seems to be everybody's favorite place, Tatooine. He made his way to Jabba's palace, where he laughed at Han Solo's misfortune, but Jabba's thugs had taken Manaroo to be one of the Bloated One's many dancers. The scarred Corellian returned to the palace knowing full well that if he was going to save the woman he loved, he would have to slay Jabba. Witnessing the sad death of the Twi'lek dancer Ula, Dengar began to plan and plot with members of Jabba's entourage, which was soon discovered by Jabba. The crime lord ordered Boba Fett to give Dengar a painful death by way of the teeth of Tatooine in the Valley of Winds. The night prior to Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Luke Skywalker's execution, Fett took Dengar and left him in the desert of Tatooine. Dengar only lived due to his armor, which Fett had allowed Dengar to keep. He was saved by the faithful Manaroo, and Dengar vowed to make Fett pay. He and Manaroo agreed to be married, but after Dengar healed, which took several weeks in Mos Eisley, in debt thanks to medical bills, he and Manaroo went to the Great Pit of Carkoon to salvage, but they only found a horribly scarred man, who they saved. It took time, but Dengar eventually discovered who the scarred man, who apparently had killed the Sarlacc, was. It was Boba Fett. Dengar nursed Fett back to health with Manaroo's help. The two bounty hunters, wanting to foil Prince Xizor's plans, then conspired to kidnap Kuat of Kuat, leader of the Kuat Driveyards, as he was a key player in Prince Xizor's plans. After the mission, Fett served as Dengar's best man at his wedding. 5 years after the Battle of Yavin, Dengar was tracking a pirate by the name of Nostrik on Pluaka for the New Republic. But Jodo Kast, who Dengar believed to be Boba Fett, arrived first. But Kast was hanging upside down over a spike pit. Dengar saved Kast, but he shot at Dengar and took the bounty for himself. Realizing that Fett wouldn't have done that, he told the real Fett of the poser, and the two laid a trap for Kast on Pequalis III, where Jodo Kast met his end by Boba Fett. They continued to work together until 10 ABY, when the newly cloned Emperor Palpatine returned. They failed to capture Han Solo, and this event caused Dengar to never work with Fett again. After his fallout with Fett, he settled down to married life with his wife Manaroo, but he couldn't completely stay out of the action. In 11 ABY, he worked for Grappa the Hutt, but when the Hutt's organization collapsed, he was captured by Black Sun, who Grappa had offended. They released him unharmed when he told them all he knew of the Hutt's organization. Dengar vowed to never work for a Hutt again. Then, over a decade later, in 24 ABY, he joined in the quest for Bornin Thul. This brought him face to face with the children of his former enemy, Han Solo. After this, it is unknown what happened to Dengar. Presumably, he finally ceased bounty hunting and grew old with his wife, and maybe even had some children. That was the life of Dengar, Star Wars' most unlucky bounty hunter. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and feel free to share your favorite part of Dengar's tale. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and until next time, thanks for watching.